Hello, this is Daryl at 10-Foot Truck Good Attitude Services. It's a beautiful sunny day today. It's in the 70s. I just got back from a small moving job. Went really good. It was 3 flights down, and the unload was only into the garage, so it took longer for the load because coming down the stairs, but the unload was really quick. Customer tipped me well, paid me well, and was really nice and helpful. And I noticed I complimented her on the packing job that she did. She hired me because her movers that she'd hired to basically move everything, didn't get everything. They left the patio furniture and they left a few other items, and so she hired me to finish the job. So that was good. So you never know, sometimes even if you hire movers, sometimes they may not get everything. So I just do the small jobs anyway. I'm not really interested in the big moving jobs because this truck's only made for small moving jobs. But she did a really good pack job. Didn't overload the boxes, and really good with having the right size boxes. And I told her it's great because that saves so much time when a customer has everything packed in boxes, because I just use this box dolly here, and I could stack probably on your standard box dolly. I could probably stack maybe 3 or 4 dish packs, and I don't know, 6, maybe 6. Let's see, 1, maybe 5 book boxes. But you could it's efficient to especially coming downstairs, to have a dolly and have boxes and be able to stack boxes on that dolly. It saves a lot of time. Not only does it save time taking the items out of the house and then also, packing the truck, but to stack them in the truck, it's much more ideal to have the right correct size boxes, or good solid boxes that stack good, because that saves space in the truck, and also it's safer for when you're transporting. So she packed those really good, so I was complimented on that. And a lot of customers don't do that, and because I advise a lot of customers when I'm doing moving jobs to try and pack all the things in boxes instead of putting them in bags, because I've done a lot of jobs where people just put stuff in like contractor bags, and that gets messy. Things can get broken. It's much more difficult to stack, and if you don't have things in boxes, you can't stack anything, so because things will get smashed. But if you have them in boxes, it protects the items, especially if you pack them right, and you have good solid boxes. It's much better that way. So I advise any customer to, when you're doing moving, and if you can't afford to buy the boxes, because they can be expensive, there are some places out here, I don't know about in your area, but I learned this from a customer when they did a job and they couldn't buy the boxes. So they went down to, I think it was Total Wine and More, to get boxes. They had given them some boxes there, and then they asked Barnes and Noble, and they had spare boxes. Sometimes you can ask businesses and they'll give you some boxes if you can't afford to buy the ones they have, it like Public Storage or U-Haul, of course. And then they have them, I think, at Lowe's and that. But any box is better than not having boxes. Packing things in a box or a container, like those containers there, those plastic containers, those are great for the ones that have lids on them. Those are great for packing. Those are a little more expensive though. But you want them in a container, either a box or some kind of container that's square, so you can stack them in all the way up to the top of the truck, and it's much more, saves space, and it's much more secure. When the load doesn't shift as much when you have it all packed in boxes. Loose items and stuff can shift, move around. So she did a great job in that. So the job went really quick. It went, and after the job, she was happy with the job. Gave me a really good sized tip. I was happy about that, and much appreciative to that. I haven't had a tip like that in a while. A good solid cash tip is always helpful. And then she wanted my cards for future. So if they like your job, usually they'll ask for your card. If they like your service, they're gonna ask for your card. If they don't, they probably won't. So she asked for a card, so I gave her a card, and hopefully that'll work into some other business in the future. But yeah, we're good. So I do moving jobs. I know a lot of these guys out here, a lot of junk removal people won't do moving. I particularly will do moving because that's how I started. I started out as a mover many years ago, and I had a moving service. Even without a truck, I had a pack and load, what they call a pack and load service, that I would advertise through U-Haul. I would get customers mostly through U-Haul, and then I started doing Craigslist, and then just word of mouth, loading U-Hauls and pods and etc., containers and so forth. So just doing the labor. So I did that for years, and plus I drove moving trucks prior to that for Mayflower and for starving students, and I worked for United in the warehouse. So I've done a lot of moving for professional moving companies. Then I did my own services for many years. That's why when I got into junk removal, I'd already been doing moving. So why, if it's a small, I won't do bigger moves anymore, but these small apartment moves are great. I like those type of jobs. So, or like storage type move outs, or also ones I do that work with this truck for the most part is assisted living, those move outs and move ins. This does good with that. But like full house, you'd have to rent a truck. I've done that too, where you rent a full, big 30-foot, 26-foot truck to do those. But I'm more interested in the smaller moving jobs lately. So I probably would not be interested in doing a big scale move at this point. But yeah, small moves. So if you have a truck, of course you got to keep your truck with these moving pads and dollies. If you're gonna do moving, you want that equipment and some hand tools and straps, ropes, and that kind of thing, because you want, and mainly the blankets to protect your furniture and glass. So and then you want to keep your truck clean too. If you have like a dump truck, like a lot of these junk removal companies have dump trucks or dump trailers. They probably it's much more difficult to do moving. You could do it, but you'd probably want to clean out that dump truck, hose it out, clean it out. You don't want a dirty truck when you're moving furniture that people are going to be using in their house. So that's one thing. It's one thing that probably keeps a lot of junk removal companies from doing moving, is because their truck is getting really dirty and grimy. Where most of my junk removal jobs are, I try to, if it is something like construction, I will clean the truck out and mop it out, and make sure that it's completely clean for these moving jobs. That's the only downfall, that you do have to, unless I had a separate truck, you do have to clean your truck out and keep it nice and clean. And having the moving pads and the right kind of dollies to perform that service. So that's how I've been doing it. I'm used to doing it, so it's no big deal to me. But it does kind of limit me on some of the junk removal opportunities, because I don't take really grimy type of junk jobs. Like I don't do hoarder houses, or houses that have a lot of like abandoned type of houses, or like I don't do like homeless encampments and things like really really bad stuff that you need a dump truck, stuff that's really going to be grimy, a lot of oil, stuff like that, removing just stuff that's really messy, that would almost be impossible to clean the truck out. So I try to stick with furniture removal. If I do construction debris, that's just wood and stuff like that, I can sweep that out, clean it out. But like really bad garbage stuff that just leaks everywhere, you want a dump truck for that. So I try to avoid those. So yeah, that's one thing about it. If you're going to do moving and delivery, probably with the same truck, it may be a little bit more difficult to do those type of jobs. So you kind of have to be selective when you're doing your junk removal, unless you rent a truck, like you rent a pickup truck or rent a U-Haul, and then do that job with that. And then of course you're gonna have to clean out the U-Haul too. So but I just don't, it's just not what I want. That's one thing about junk removal and moving, is you can pick whatever jobs you want. Like you're not you don't have to take every single job. You just take the jobs that you feel comfortable with, the ones that your business is designed for. Maybe your truck size, the truck you have, like the particular type of truck. Like this truck can only handle so much, so you can't do big moving jobs. And you can't do, pretty much just has to be smaller jobs, unless I rented a bigger truck. But so design your business the way you want the business, and what the jobs that you want. That's just the way I do it, because there's always a niche for like this. The lady needed, she didn't need to hire a large moving company to come out and finish the job. She just needed a guy with a truck to come out there. And so that works out for her. And apartment moves, they don't need some giant 26-foot truck, 30-foot truck to do an apartment. They can use a truck like this. So you know what I mean, you know. So that's the way you design it, the way you want it, and the type of job. You know, so I had to pause the video, but yeah. So what was my point? Yeah. So I'm gonna hopefully we'll see what kind of the next job is gonna be. Moving job, junk removal, or delivery, or even material delivery, you know, that kind of thing, pallet materials. We'll see. But it's good for business right now, and the weather's great. So hopefully everyone's doing great out there. This is Daryl at 10 Foot Truck, Good Attitude Services, signing out.